Hello, yet again. And welcome all of you to Professional Insights, brought to you by the National Referral Network and hosted by me and that other guy who looks like me. Okay.
That's me.
Other guy who looks like me.
Good morning, Mike.
How are we doing this morning, Mr. Utah?
I'm jacked. I love Tuesdays.
He's Tuesdays in Utah. There was Tuesday mornings with Maury. Now there's Tuesday mornings with Mike in Utah. Okay.
Let's do it.
I never knew what that was about, but anyway, I digress. As you are all aware, these presentations are for the purpose of giving you all information that you can use either professionally or otherwise. And today, we're joined by Eric Thorup. Now, we're going to do something a little different today. Eric's going to talk about cybersecurity. Going to talk about some of the risks facing the small business owner. Heck, I could be a Russian bot and nobody would know it, right, Eric?
True.
Created by AI.
Right?
The real Mike could be tied up in a room somewhere. We never know. Okay?
Could be.
Right? With today's technology being what it is. But let's get right. This is an interesting subject, though, in all seriousness, for small business owners, because cybersecurity is all the more important, particularly as your business gets larger. You're storing more information, perhaps confidential data, things like that. Why don't I just begin at the beginning, and Mike, you jump in wherever you want to, and just ask you what are some of the more important things that small business owners need to be thinking about, and maybe they aren't.
You know, the most important thing is their data. That is the most critical asset of any company, small or large. You know, your entire company relies on your data, whether it's a client list, it could be a database of products. And if that gets compromised in some way or lost, most businesses go under in 6 months after having a catastrophic data loss.
So businesses actually go out of business after data loss. This is just.
I mean, think about it. Think about it. You know, if your database, your server, or whatever, let's say somebody gets in and encrypts it, you know, a ransomware attack, right? And you're not able to get to that data. How are you going to serve your customers? You're dead in the water. You're running at a reduced efficiency, and it's scary. So how often it actually happens.
Yeah. So one of the things that in this, you and I are part of a mastermind group here in Utah, and this is one of the reasons I wanted you on this call, is because on a financial standpoint, we talk to clients and we talk to partners about creating teams and making sure that all of the financial aspects of their lives are moving in the goal-oriented fashion, in the same direction. And part of that is sometimes your uncle, your aunt, or your niece, your nephew, or your CPA or your attorney, but they may not be doing what you need to be done. And you talked about this in our group session about a lot of people are IT, but really they're not doing that level. How do you determine what level that person needs to be to really protect your business at what you're talking about?
It comes down to just a few questions. You know, I run into this all the time, you know, where small businesses, even large ones, they do to try and save. They think they're saving money, you know, by utilizing, whether it's somebody internally, maybe an employee who wasn't hired for the job, but they have a little bit of skill, right, in computers, or they have, like you said, they have an uncle, a nephew, or whatever that they brought in because they can pay them less. The problem with that is, I mean, aside from the whole issue of if they mess up, there's family issues going on there. You ask them some questions. Are they monitoring your backups? How do you know your backups are getting done? Are you updating your computers every day? Are you checking antivirus? Is somebody monitoring your antivirus? Because typically, even the Windows Defender that's built into Windows 10, it might pop up saying something happened, but if you're not watching, you're never going to see it. And people don't pay attention to that, right? And so you run the risk of somebody just helping you out, and they're not committed. Maybe they have a full-time job, and this is just something they're kind of helping you on the side. And I've run into this a lot. And the company who is utilizing this style of IT support is not doing them any favors, you know, and they are not protecting themselves.
So Eric, walk us through the basics of security. I mean, for those that really want just a quick 1, 2, 3 of what they should be paying attention to, what are the most basic elements of this?
Okay, basic element, backups. I cannot say this enough. Backups, backups, backups. And I'm not talking about using like OneDrive, Google Drive. You can use those. That's fine because it puts it in a separate location, right? But it's not archival. What happens is, let's say somebody deletes a file that you need and you don't notice it for, let's say, 30 days or so. You go back, Google Drive, OneDrive, they dump data after 30 days and it's non-recoverable.
Mm.
Okay. So when I say backups, I'm talking archival backups. I'm talking using something like Crash Plan Pro or similar Carbonite, where what it does is an initial full backup of all your data, and then every day or however often you tell it, it's incrementally backing up changes. So if something happens now, and you've been doing backups, let's say for 6 months, right? And 2 months down the line, you realize, hey, this file is no longer there anymore. I need access to this. You can actually go back to that point 2 months ago and recover that file. That's what archival backup is, and it's what every business should be doing. As an example, I have one client who probably 15 years ago went through a catastrophic data loss. Now they were able to, it was due to a hardware failure. It wasn't a hack or anything like that. And you got to realize data is susceptible to a lot of things, but he lost probably 50% of his data. He was able to recover, but he is super primed on making sure things are getting backed up and he can't do enough backups. We're backing up, I think 4 different ways to make sure that his data is not only backed up locally, backed up into the cloud, and backed up. I think we've got a NAS set up at his home because he wants access to his data whenever possible. So at a minimum, you should be doing some sort of a cloud archival backup.
Well, now what about those that are using, let's say something like Dropbox or some sort of storage platform like that? Do they also need some sort of archival backup system in addition to that?
Yes, absolutely. Again, cloud platforms like that, they'll keep your data for 30 days after it's been deleted. After that, they dump it. They're not being paid to store it. It's not their job. But they've done a minimum. Basically, the absolute minimum is they provide a 30-day recovery window. So if you do notice it, great, you can go back and recover it, right? For people who are doing this, I would at least recommend getting a local hard drive and getting a system set up to where it's synchronizing those files to a local hard drive. Okay, just so you have a copy you can grab and go if you need to. And there's lots of different solutions for that too.
But I think, but one of the things though, Eric, one of the things is that when we talk about files, Mike, and I think this is the interesting part with, say, like a CPA, that you have a client, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 3 years that a CPA needs to maintain somebody's files.
I think it's longer than that, but
I think it's longer than that too. I think it's at least 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so then so on average, according to various publications, a CPA, as an example, just because we work in this area, they have 140 clients. Well, 140 clients times 7, let's say, I mean, that's a lot of data. And so it's, I don't know, Eric, I would just want to make that point, because when people think of files and I think about putting things in Dropbox, I'm thinking like a single Word document or, personal information in Dropbox or a picture. I'm not talking about somebody's confidential information.
Yeah. And again, having an encrypted backup solution solves that. You want something that's going to be compliant in your industry. And this could apply to any industry. This could be medical. This could be financial. This could be anybody who deals with credit card information or any kind of detailed information about their clients that they don't want to lose or get compromised.
But just your catalog, like your catalog of products and services.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. It goes pretty
over
deep.
time. That grows too. And that's what I'm saying is data is the most critical aspect of any business.
Okay.
If you're not taking those vital steps to back it up, and you asked me if there were other things, quick steps, right? Ensure that you have security on each computer, and that deals with a monitored antivirus. Okay, usually using like advanced EDR protection, which is kind of the new cloud-based AI protection that's being provided, and a good firewall. Having a good firewall is critical. and making sure that that firewall is also being monitored. I guarantee you that if either one of you if you had a firewall and you went in and looked at your log files right now, you would see that there are hack attempts on your firewall going on constantly, all the time. People don't realize this.
Are these hack attempts by individuals? Are they algorithms? How are these hack attempts generated?
They are usually automated systems. They have botnets that will run full scans. What they do is they just scan IPs on the internet. They scan your address essentially on the internet, and what they're looking for are what are called ports, open ports. This is how software on your local network communicates with systems out on the net, right? And what'll happen is this bot will come in, they'll find your IP, and they'll run through a scan looking at the most common ports. Okay, and if it finds one that is open, that responds says, "Hey, yeah, I'm open," what they do then is they initiate another tactic where they bombard that port with known zero-day attacks, with known vulnerabilities to see if they can get more information or if they can cause that port to fully open up, allowing them in.
And if they get in, of course, they're going to compromise the data and then use the data for nefarious purposes.
Oh, yeah.
Presumably.
Yeah, so typically these bots, what they'll do, I had a client come to me one time, and this is, so from beginning to finish, this is what happened. We figured out this is what happened. They had a server that the owner and several of his employees had direct access to, remote into, to access QuickBooks, okay? They wanted to be able to access QuickBooks remotely. So they implemented a system that the previous IT company had opened a port for them on their firewall. And this is a common one. It's RDP, Remote Desktop Protocol, port 3389. And it allowed them to remote to their server, okay? And they could work on it as if they were sitting in front of it, okay? But this port was not encrypted. It was not set up with a VPN. So this bot, or some bot somewhere, found their IP, scanned, found this port, and then found out that it gave them access to the server desktop where they could basically brute force the username and password, meaning they kept trying passwords until they found one that worked. Now the bot, when it found this, sat on it. It sends it up to somewhere else where somebody takes that, they put it on a dark web market where somebody can go and buy it for like $10. I mean, it's scary how cheap they sell these credentials for. And what happened is somebody in Florida, I did some trace backs and figured out what happened here. Somebody in Florida bought those credentials, went to an internet cafe. They had been watching too. They had been watching for, I think it was something like 14 days to see what this business does, right? And when they finally decided to do the attack, they went to an internet cafe, logged in remotely. The antivirus kept them from infecting it with the virus they wanted, so they connected the drives differently. And they started encrypting the server. And it was slower. And what happened is they let us know, and we're like, "Oh yeah, let's shut that off." And he had been warned beforehand about this port, but he refused to listen to their IT professional about closing this port. And he went through a lot. Like, he didn't have a complete data loss, but it was painful.
Wow.
Like, it was, for the next 6 months, they spent time recovering data, dealing with other companies to do things like, I apologize, ID recovery, to find out how much of their client database had been compromised, what information had been compromised. They spent tens of thousands of dollars to recover from this.
And
Okay, I just want to, I don't mean to interrupt, but let me ask you a question. So when you work with a business for the first time and you're looking at how they do cybersecurity and all the things that you do, it occurs to me that, an initial reaction might be, yeah, pretty good. Or another reaction might be, not so much. Or then there's, oh my God. Okay. All right. So how many oh my gods versus pretty goods versus okay do you see?
I'm going to say most of the time I walk in and I'm like, oh,
okay.
Okay. It is, it's not disappointing. It's just scary that most business owners don't realize how fine of a line they walk with their data, because they don't treat their IT as something important. It's almost an afterthought, right? It's like, okay, I guess we should, look at this once in a while. And that's not how hackers think. Hackers are
It's
24/7
all the time.
24/7. And so a lot of business owners, they play the Russian roulette. They just keep every day it's spinning that cartridge or whatever and trying and taking a risk. And I think part of it is because they don't know what to do. They don't want to look like they don't know what to do, and they don't know who to ask. And that's kind of where we come in. And you say, when I come into a company, right?
Yeah.
One of the first things we do is we do a free IT assessment. We come in and we get to know them. We look at their infrastructure, and we help build them a report that points out things that this is where you could be compromised. Okay, here's where your company could fail because of this.
And this is where we kind of segue into as we segue into the shameless plug.
Wait, I see, Eric. I told you I was going to forget to do this. There it is. There's the plug.
Plug stuff.
I love it.
So Eric is a brand new member of the National Referral Network. This is brought to you by this was sponsored. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. It's brought to you by the National.
There it is, Mike. It's right there.
Yeah, right there. And we always talk about business owners being able to connect with each other, but also part of the network's purpose is to connect business owners and professionals with people like Eric, who perform these very, very vital functions and help small businesses survive. And oftentimes we get asked, this kind of professional, that kind of professional. So there's all kinds of different persuasions in the network, and we're happy to have you as a new member, because what you do is obviously sorely needed. So there's Eric's information. Mike, help me out here. I feel like I'm treading water now.
No, so I think one of the things that Eric has created is an ecosystem within himself, Mike, so that he actually has individuals that he can call upon if a business needs a certain aspect that he doesn't necessarily do.
No.
So as part of the National Referral Network, Eric actually has his own network of IT professionals that specialize in certain areas of
that. Absolutely. In fact, let me tell you a little bit about this. First of all, as a managed IT provider, okay, I am a freelancer. I've been doing this for 17 years. In about 2010, 2011, I switched over to doing managed IT. And the reason why is because I saw a lot of my clients, they had needs for other things, whether it was technical or otherwise. And what a managed IT provider does, they are the central resource for helping their clients achieve success, whether it's through improving their systems, monitoring their systems, or getting them connected with the individuals who will help their business. And a few years ago, I realized the situation I was in as a freelancer working by myself is I was going to reach a point where I wouldn't be able to grow anymore because I'd just be too busy. And I had this idea. And as freelancers, we provide an amazing level of support to our clients. They love it. They love the personal touch. Most freelancers like me are what you consider a level 3 engineer. They're very smart at what they do. They've been in the industry for decades. And so what I realized I could do is set up what we call a co-op of other freelancers. These are guys that have their own business. They've been running their business for a decent amount of time. It's their bread and butter. Okay. And what we do is we set up a safe environment for these IT professionals to team together and provide support for each other. So they're not alone anymore. And I cannot tell you the positive response that I've gotten from this. Not just from the IT professionals, but from vendors too. When I tell them about what I'm doing, they're just like, oh my gosh, if you get any kind of a social thing together, I want to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. And so what we do is for our clients, when a freelancer needs to take a break, it's really difficult. They got to step away to take a vacation sometimes. I mean, there was a period of time I went 5 years without taking a vacation. Wow. And
Eric just had a baby.
Yeah, exactly. And what's awesome about that, with my team, Right now I have 3 other IT professionals that I can call on. And so I reached out to Dan with one of my other guys. He's with Simple Systems here locally. Said, "Hey, man, I'm going to be in this situation where I'm going to have a baby and I need to take time off. You got my back?" He's like, "Absolutely." And so we set it up so that if my clients call, it goes straight to his support line, and they're able to provide that support. And it's in a safe way. It's in a safe way where we've got agreements set up so that they don't have to fear losing clients to me. I don't have to fear losing clients to them, because I live with the mentality of plenty. That there's plenty of business out there for everybody. And I think that with the National Referral Network, that's the sense I get, is that we're here to help each other grow, because there's lots of business out there, and I'm excited about that.
Yep.
That's great. Eric, thanks for being here. Mike, wrap us up.
Yep, absolutely. So as always, we're here every Tuesday morning for professional insights. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, do everything to share this information, help others learn as you did today. And make sure you click that notification bell if you're on YouTube to get notified. If you have any questions, Eric's information is below, ours is below. Please let us know how you can help. We'll get you connected in any way that we can. Eric, thank you.
Absolutely.
Mike, good seeing you again. And until next Tuesday, we're out.
Sayonara.